Constantinos Filippidis, a 49-year-old Toronto firefighter, commonly referred to as Danny, was skiing at Whiteface Mountain in Wilmington, New York on Wednesday, February 7, 2018. He was part of an annual ski trip organized for off-duty and retired firefighters. Along with 8 others who joined him on vacation, he was considered an intermediate skier. Whiteface Mountain is one of the highest peaks in the Adirondacks, offering a range of ski trails, wooded areas, trees, and rocks. This was the final day of their skiing trip, and they were preparing to return home after enjoying their winter vacation at this popular ski destination. At approximately 2:30 p.m., one of the members of the group, feeling exhausted, suggested that they should leave. However, Constantinos Filippidis expressed his desire to take one last run down the mountain before heading back. Consequently, he decided to ski alone for one final attempt while his friends waited for him at the lodge situated halfway down the mountain. Unfortunately, a powerful snowstorm started, causing the area to have poor visibility. After waiting for around an hour and a half, until 4 p.m., the ski lift stopped operating for the day, and Filippidis was nowhere to be found. His friends waited for an additional 30 minutes before becoming concerned about his whereabouts and subsequently reported him missing at 4:30 p.m. Filippidis' friends initially decided to check at the resort where they were staying, hoping that he may have returned there. However, they were alarmed to discover his car, passport, phone, and ID exactly where he had left them earlier in the day. A search operation was immediately launched to locate Filippidis on the mountain. Forest rangers, ski patrol personnel, and other skiers all participated in scouring the slopes to locate the missing firefighter. Despite their exhaustive efforts, Filippidis remained unaccounted for as the evening progressed, and the weather conditions worsened. On the following day, more people joined the search, including New York State Police, Homeland Security, U.S. border officials, and volunteers. The news of their missing colleague compelled over 100 Toronto firefighters to travel to Lake Placid to assist with the search operation, with colleagues agreeing to cover their shifts. The search teams deployed helicopters, drones, and sniffer dogs to scour the mountain in search of Filippidis. He was last seen wearing a green ski jacket, black helmet, goggles, and red skis. For almost a week, approximately 6,000 people, including Filippidis' wife, tirelessly searched for the missing firefighter in the Lake Placid area. As each day passed, the hope of finding him alive began to fade. However, astonishingly, after being missing for 6 days, Filippidis was discovered alive and well, over 4,500 kilometers away in California. On Tuesday, February 13, at 9:30 a.m., Filippidis' wife was meeting the search party in Lake Placid when she received a call from an unfamiliar number. When she answered, she recognized her lost husband's voice immediately, who referred to her by her nickname. He informed her that he was alone at Sacramento Airport in California, which was approximately 4,670 kilometers away and on the other side of the country. She advised him to seek help immediately. Upon making contact with Filippidis, law enforcement officers were able to locate him in the car rental terminal of Sacramento Airport, still dressed in the same ski clothes he was wearing when he went missing 6 days earlier in New York. Remarkably, he was still wearing his ski jacket, boots, and carrying his ski helmet. Filippidis was discovered in a disorientated state, so much so that when he was asked to describe the color of a blue sign, he mistakenly said it was green and was unable to recall the current date. Along with his skiing attire, he had recently purchased an iPhone, had a credit card, $1,000 in cash, and had even managed to get a haircut. Initially, Filippidis told police that he had no recollection of how he had gotten to Sacramento from New York, but suspected that he had suffered a head injury. He did, however, recall riding as a passenger in a truck that resembled a big rig, and that he slept a lot during the journey. Surprisingly, he had no recollection of purchasing the new phone to call his wife. Due to his confused state, he was immediately transported to the hospital to be examined for possible head injuries. However, he was discharged later without any signs of injuries reported. Sergeant Sean Hampton of the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department reported that after being located, Filippidis was questioned by officers and they determined that he was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol. According to Hampton, Filippidis claimed that he was dropped off in Sacramento the night before he called the police and must have slept on the streets near the Richards Boulevard along the Interstate 5 corridor. However, it is unclear how he managed to get to the airport from that location. It is speculated that he may have taken a taxi before contacting his wife. In the days that followed, officials from New York and Sacramento issued additional statements on the matter. The police released a photo of Filippidis that was taken when he was found in California, hoping that someone who recognizes him could provide more information about his journey. After being discharged from the hospital, Filippidis returned to the Adirondacks to speak with police, who continued their investigation into the strange circumstances of his disappearance. He was eventually allowed to return home to Toronto with his family, where he resumed his duties as a captain with the Toronto Fire Services. Frank Romagnano, president of the Toronto Professional Firefighters Association, spoke briefly with Filippidis upon his return, but didn't ask too many questions to avoid causing him any additional stress. Meanwhile, police made an appeal for the truck driver who had apparently given Filippidis a ride to get in touch, but no new information was forthcoming. As speculation about what had happened to Filippidis during his 6-day disappearance continued to grow, it wasn't until 6 months later that he himself finally spoke out about the incident, revealing his version of events to the public. In an interview, Filippidis provided his own account of what happened during his 6-day disappearance. He stated that he believes he may have taken a wrong turn on his way to the car and lost consciousness shortly after separating from his friends. When he regained consciousness, he headed towards what he thought was the main ski lodge, only to find it closed and deserted. Later investigations determined that he probably fell near the children's ski slope and made his way to the hub of the kids' area, which would have been closed at that time. Still disoriented and unable to find his car, Filippidis claimed that he hailed down a truck and climbed into the cabin area to get a ride back into town. However, he could not provide any details about the driver or the truck he was in. Filippidis believed that he may have slept for long periods during the journey. He stated that he did not know how he ended up in Sacramento, but assumed that he must have been dropped off there by the truck driver. During the long journey, Filippidis claims that he only had vague moments of consciousness, including being sick at what he believed to be a truck stop and learning that he was driving through Utah. He also remembers experiencing intense fatigue and headaches that left him sleeping for most of the journey. As the journey came to an end, the truck driver told Filippidis that they had reached Sacramento before dropping him off and leaving. Filippidis stated that he had no idea who the driver was or what they spoke about, but he did recall that the driver had a generic name which he gave to authorities. Upon reaching downtown Sacramento, Filippidis, who had been missing for 5 days with no ID or phone, decided to find a way to contact his wife. He withdrew $1,000 in cash from his credit card and purchased a new iPhone. Filippidis was found in a disoriented state by police at the airport's car rental terminal, still wearing his ski clothes, and was immediately taken to the hospital for assessment. He was later discharged with no reported signs of injuries. According to Filippidis in an interview, he revealed that after buying a new phone, he couldn't recall his wife's number immediately. Instead, he searched online for Whiteface Mountain and discovered that he was a missing person. Instead of calling 911 or going to the police for help, he chose to spend the night sleeping on the streets near Richards Boulevard. The following day, Tuesday 13th February, Filippidis, still dressed in his ski gear, sought a ride to Sacramento Airport. Finally, he remembered his wife's number and called her. She then instructed him to call 911 for help. Upon reaching the rental car terminal of the airport, the police were able to find and assist Filippidis. According to medical professionals, Filippidis' memory loss and subsequent actions can be explained by 2 possible causes. Dr. Charles Tater, a brain surgeon from Toronto, has put forward the first theory that suggests that Filippidis may have experienced amnesia as a result of a concussion. Dr. Tater explains that the incident could be a combination of 2 types of amnesia, namely retrograde amnesia, which involves a loss of memory before a head injury, and anterograde amnesia, which involves a loss of memory after a head injury. If Filippidis sustained a significant head injury while skiing, the resulting concussion could have caused him to experience memory loss, which can last for a few seconds to up to 24 or 48 hours. However, this theory does not explain the entire extent of Filippidis' memory loss, and Dr. Tater himself has stated that his days-long episode was unusual. Dr. Jennifer Ryan, a senior scientist at the Rotman Research Institute at Baycrest in Toronto, suggests a second theory regarding Filippidis' memory loss and actions, proposing that he experienced a dissociative fugue state. This rare condition, triggered by head injury, trauma, or emotional disturbance, causes a temporary loss of personal identity, leading individuals to impulsively wander away from familiar surroundings. People with dissociative fugue are often confused about their identity and may even create new ones. Although they show no outward signs of illness or injury, their normal behavior changes, and they struggle to remember who they are and where they are. Dr. Ryan explains that typically, people with this disorder don't remember the traveling itself, and their memory usually returns when they find themselves in an unfamiliar place. A fugue state may explain Filippidis' behavior during the days he was missing. Amnesic episodes like Filippidis can be problematic since some people never fully regain their lost memories, resulting in islands of memory that remain forever lost. Consequently, it's possible that we may never uncover some of the missing pieces to the puzzle unless Filippidis' memory fragments return. The story of Constantinos Danny Filippidis is a baffling and intriguing one that continues to raise questions. Despite extensive investigations by law enforcement agencies, medical professionals, and the media, there is still no definitive explanation for what happened during his 5-day disappearance. Theories of retrograde and anterograde amnesia and dissociative fugue have been put forward, but none of them can fully account for all the missing details. Filippidis' own account of his experience is also limited, as he claims to have lost significant periods of memory. Ultimately, the case remains shrouded in mystery, and it is unclear whether we will ever learn the truth behind what happened to Filippidis during those fateful 5 days in February 2018.